Hi, and welcome to the next lesson in the blending mode class at Hummy's World. This lesson is on the lighter color blending mode. And let's peek at it over here. The lighter color is very similar to the lighten. Just like the darker color that we already reviewed is much like the darken. It's similar to lighten and works on all channels instead of working on a per channel basis. And both the lighter color blending mode and the darker color blending mode to me are frustrating. So just hang in with me and play with it so you learn what it does. It may come in useful someday, but for the most other part, I don't use it very much. But I'm going to show you my sample and what I did. But before I do that, let me just say that the lighter color basically just shows, it compares both layers, and whichever one has the lighter color for that little pixel box, it shows that color. That's the way I see it working. And the darker color one does that too. It doesn't really blend, in my opinion. It just shows one or the other. And to me, it's kind of frustrating. So let's go look at our graphic that we've been doing with all of the lessons. If you are starting on this one, please visit the website and go through and watch all of them in order. I invite you to do that. So let's first look at the lighten, and you remember this is what lighten did, and then you look at lighter color and it hardly changed anything. So I'll zoom in a little bit and do that again. Lighten and lighter color. Just kind of backs this off a little bit, no change here. But it does, even though it doesn't look in here like it does works much different, to me it's not really blending at all. Well, let's go peek and play with the actual texture that I'm going to be giving everybody. Here is what I ended up with for mine. And I had to do a lot of work to make this look good, and I'm going to reconstruct it for you. But before I do that, I'm going to turn this off. And here is my original photo. And here, let's go back to the normal blending mode. Here's the scrumptious. Now with some of the other blending modes, this would look good. This would look good. It's just so yummy. Look at all the textures in there. Oh, I even see a bit of text over here, and this has just got so much good stuff going on in it. And with some of the other blending modes, this would just be oodles of fun. But with this particular one, it's a bit more difficult. I'm going to go ahead and make this original photo layer invisible, and the texture. And this is the image I thought I would start out with using, and I was trying to analyze, okay, lighter color, and maybe we need a darker image, so I started with a darker image that was kind of underexposed. And let's go ahead and apply our texture so you can see what happens. Hardly anything. You see that my image was so dark that the only parts of the flower image that were lighter were just a few leaves and a little bit of it hardly showed anything. I was like, well, I guess I could lower the opacity, and that kind of works. I could have done that, but it wasn't appealing to me. So I went and I said, well, dark images didn't work, so let's find a light image. So I found this one that was drastically overexposed of the boat that came to dock here in Cape Girardeau. Drastically overexposed. I said, well, maybe I can do something with that. So let's apply that texture. Well, look at that. This is so drastically overexposed here that this paper is darker except for in this small area right here where it shows through. And I said, well, I'm leaving that there so people can see what happens. So the trick to using this, if you're only using the lighter color, is finding the right photo to work with the right papers. Um, it's really hard because it's so finite. I suppose if I had a paper that was like mostly all dark, like really black, with just a few white specks all in it, and I blended that, that would be cool. Because just the little, like, maybe paint splats would show through. I didn't make a texture like that. I had to use I had to figure out how to use the ones that I had already made. So I had this picture and I blended it and I said, oh, that's blending a little bit better. Because it's actually, if you look here, blending out into the photo, see all those specks. So this photo was very much more neutral. Yes, it has some whites up in here that are definitely going to show through, but this blue in here was real neutral and was, the same neutral saturation as the paper. And so this is what I'm talking about, those little flecks that if you had a really dark paper and then just splatters of white flecks, it could be pretty cool with just to grunge it up. This doesn't look very well, obviously. So let me go ahead and add my text. So I had to fix it. And so I started with adding and I'm not going to go all the way through this and perfect it because it took me a long time, but I added a layer mask to the texture because it was just overwhelming the photo down here. And so you go to your brush and you select, the mask is white, so we need to do black. White reveals, black conceals, so I want to conceal some of this texture that's kind of taking over my photo. And I wanted to get, I don't remember what brush I got. I think for this purpose I just got a round brush. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And I lowered the opacity. I don't remember what opacity I was at, but I'm at 12 now. And just started kind of hitting it out here. I wanted to be able to see the bridge, so I started that. I still want to see some of the grunginess coming through, and so I just kind of hit it like this. I wanted to see the edge, and there we go. Let's see the bridge just a little bit more. I'm going to take that. So that's basically what I did with the texture, and now you can see it's kind of blending into the photo much better. Your photo, of course, is going to be different than mine. Well, then I didn't like this edge, this sharp edge up here, so I tried adding a mask, and I ended up getting an edger brush. And I am working in the full version of Photoshop, but you have all of these things. Hopefully you can relate. I had to turn the brush into your program. I think you'll be able to for most of the people who have been hanging around Hummy's World doing lessons. If you have trouble, just ask and I'll point you to a lesson that will teach you more on how to do brushes. But I'm going to make this brush big, and this is not the brush I had, but then I thought, well, let's just kind of try to mask out some of this line a little bit with the black edger brush, and actually this is doing better than the brush I was playing with. So now you can see that line is kind of gone, and actually that's not too bad. That's actually better than my first attempt. Maybe I'll use this one. I'll have to go back and forth and compare. But then what I ended up doing was I ended up saying, well, this is not blending quite like I liked it. And so I turned off my text and I made a new layer. And I went to my clone tool and I used all layers because I wanted some of this speckledy stuff uh, over here to kind of come in up here. And so I held down my Alt key and I just kind of, worked it. And it's going on this new layer. So if I don't like it, I can just delete it. But I wanted some blue sky up in here a little further. And I wanted some of this little grungy stuff. And I may have even changed to a different brush. I don't even remember. I got some scratch brushes and things. I think I was using one of these. And just I just brought some things back into it and expanded it and blended it in a little bit more. So that is how I arrived on my original. So let's go back. I'm going to make these invisible. Oh, actually, I decided this is not my original. I forgot one of the steps that I did. I remembered before the video's over. I decided I didn't like this texture gray. I wanted it to be blue. I remember that now. And so I went ahead and just to preserve the original in case it didn't work out, I made a copy and I made this original one invisible just to tuck it aside in case I wanted to go back to it. And I chose this pretty blue. It's such a pretty blue. And simply hit Control U to bring up the hue and saturation box. And I hit Colorize, and that colorized my texture. It still left the white really white, but it made the whole thing blue. And that's when I felt like it was really kind of coming together. So I actually like it better this time without this clone stuff. But there is a great second version. And it looks different than my first because you can't duplicate it exactly. But we're going to turn these off and go back and look at, this is the one, my original that I did. And you can see here is that layer where I cloned, and there was before and after. I actually brought down a lot of the texture into the sky using it and blending it onto a new layer. It took me a long time to do, so I think I'll stick with this one. Anyway, that's it, and there's a whole lot of new techniques in here from the other ones that I had to do to get this to work. Remember, got to keep going at it. We're going to only use my texture, and we're only going to use the lighter color blending mode. I keep reminding you with this, with all the classes. That way everybody can see what everybody else has done with the same texture and the same blending modes, so we all can learn from each other. And so I can't wait to see what you do with them. And we will, after we go through all the blending modes, we will combine them and use multiple blending modes. And so keep learning, keep playing, and stretch yourself by limiting yourself to just the texture and the one blending mode called lighter color. Having fun. Bye.